Welcome to Heart-Based Medicine's Heart of Healthcare podcast, featuring Andrea Gardner, clinical hypnotherapist and author, and Director of Communications at Heart-Based Medicine. The healing power of words.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Heart-Based Medicine Insights. And today I'm very pleased to introduce you to Andrea Gardner. Andrea Gardner is a communication specialist and a Hay House book author. And she is also part of the core team of Heart-Based Medicine. Now, Andrea, apart from us working together, you are really involved in writing a book right now about the healing power of words. Tell us, how do you come to write this book?
Okay, thank you for having me on your podcast. The healing power of words came about because of from my first book, which was called Change Your Words, Change Your World. And as a result of people reading that and coming to me for coaching, and also based on my own experiences, I discovered that the way people use words and the way they use narratives particularly to tell themselves stories can particularly impact health.
The way we tell ourselves narratives, what do you mean by that?
Okay, we are, whether you admit to it or not, we are constantly telling ourselves stories. I know I certainly do. I don't know about you.
I do. I thought I'm the only one doing that.
So no.
Okay.
We're all doing it all the time. So what amazes me is that we have up to 60,000 thoughts every day. And if you're a genius, then I think you have up to 90,000. But I'll stick with the 60. And what's perhaps more alarming is the fact that 98% of those thoughts that we're having are the same thoughts we had yesterday.
Really?
Yeah.
I can, there's some days where I can relate, like it certainly feels like 60,000 thoughts a day. But it seems to me like I'm, every day is a new day, and my life, working in clinics with patients is very busy, and every patient is another patient, every situation is fresh. So it seems to me like whatever is on my screen, what fills my screen of experience is new and is fresh. So what you're telling me is this is only like 2% of what's actually going on in my brain. Is that right?
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
Because we're relying on our unconscious to feed us those memories and experiences from the past, which allow us to build new experiences. So we think we're in control of this process, but actually a lot of it is going on underneath the surface.
Wow. So whatever I experience as a new moment is really just a fraction of that as a new input, while the rest is already there. So that explains could this explain, let me put this as a question, could this explain that I'm kind of building this sense of self, that my new experience and the idea of it's me experiencing this is based on a memory projection into the here now?
Yes, largely. Yes. A very unconscious process guided by feelings and images more than words. So by the time we put it into words, we've actually processed it a little bit into a narrative that makes sense for us, or makes sense of our experiences. So we're actually a little lagging behind the unconscious mind, which automatically assimilates and then brings it forward into the conscious mind to be processed.
I see. Okay, so you're telling me I'm basically unconscious. I can relate to that. and that means, so how can I find out, in what way can I become aware of what part is the superficial experience of the now, and how can I become aware of that 98% that is going on and I don't even know about it?
Good question. There are two ways to do that. The first is to really tune in to how you're feeling and take the time every day to do that. We'll talk about that in a minute. But the other way is to look for evidence in your life of patterns. So if you're finding that you are getting to a place where something is happening again and again, you can be pretty sure there's there's a narrative running if it hasn't changed.
I see. So I'm designing the recurrence of events. If I'm feeling, oh God, this has happened again. You know,
Here we go
why
again.
did I do this again? This always happens to me. You know,
Uh-huh.
these are thought forms that actually. So I'm kind of creating these situations.
Yes. We don't create everything, I don't believe, in our lives, but we certainly create our responses to what's happening.
I see. So when we get to healing and health and how this relates to health, does it mean that what I'm thinking is part of creating a balance or imbalance in my state of health?
It certainly can, yes. I think it was Deepak Chopra who said every cell of your body is eavesdropping on your inner conversation, which blows my mind. Yes, I mean, if you're telling yourself a story that, for instance, oh, I get a cold every winter, or heart disease runs in my family, my father had heart disease, therefore I'm going to have heart disease, you are preconditioning your environment for that to take hold. So, yes, I do believe that you have quite a responsibility there to take charge of that narrative wherever you can.
That's interesting. So, for example, in my family, heart disease on one side of the family, heart disease is an issue.
Okay.
So, does it mean that if I now have a heart attack or tomorrow, the day after, that basically I screwed up because I thought I created this? Is it my fault?
Not at all, no.
Okay.
But if your thoughts are going in that direction all the time, then you're making it much more likely that you're creating the conditions for disease because you're not at ease with yourself, because you're telling yourself a negative story.
That resonates. That I can relate to. Yes, the idea of heart disease in my family does not create ease here. So let's say I become aware of this pattern. Okay, so now you told me. So at least now there's a bit of awareness here.
Sure.
So what does it mean? Should I now ignore my family history, or what should I do about it?
Well, as much as you can, yes. Create a new thought around it, rather than recycling an old thought, which is fear-based. Create a new thought from love, that you are perfectly healthy.
Okay, so it's not about not wanting to see, it's not about rejecting a thought, but it would be about replacing a negative thought with a positive thought.
An affirming thought, yeah.
An affirming thought.
Something that supports you in your health.
And in your book, would you argue that having a negative thought is part of creating dis-ease, and in the contrary, replacing these negative thoughts with positive thoughts is part of creating wellness and well-being?
It's part of it. It's not everything. Obviously, there are other lifestyle factors to take into account. And I think you can use visualization alongside affirmations to create the right conditions. A lot of this is about kindness. It's about being kind to yourself and speaking to yourself in a way that you would perhaps speak to a sick child. So if a sick child climbed onto your lap and said, "Oh, Daddy, I'm hurting," or "I really don't feel very well," hopefully you wouldn't say, "Oh, I haven't got time for you right now. Go, take a pill, get on with it." You would stop and focus and bring your loving attention to your child and speak to them in a way that would reassure them or help them to feel better about themselves, and be present with them.
Okay, so replacing negative thoughts with positive thoughts has to do with self-care, with a kind attitude towards myself.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. I mean, this is so much what heart-based medicine is about. It's like unless we're really at home and unless we're well inside, how can we invite others to step into this space of wellness and well-being?
Exactly.
So what could I do? So you said there is a way for me to become aware of this 98% of unconscious rambling and self-conditioning. So right now, assuming that about 98% of my inner storyline, the story that I'm telling myself, as you put it, is unconscious, are there ways for me to find out and to kind of develop a sensitivity for this? And can I figure out like how much of this is actually, you know, positive or negative? Now I'm really curious. You know, I wonder to what degree do I actually negatively influence myself, and I could feel so much better if I replace those thoughts.
Sure. One of the ways is to listen to yourself. If you meditate, that's easy. But you can also do something practical like record yourself and leave a recorder on somewhere on your phone, perhaps, when you're speaking to other people. And it gives you a real insight into how you are, what your inner landscape is like by what you're saying to others. It's a great technique to find out what's going on in your unconscious. Another technique is to do a body scan in the morning, a mindful body scan. So you're really tuning in at the beginning of every day to what's going on inside. How often do we take the time just to sit with our bodies and really tune in and ask what's happening on a cellular level? Unless you make it part of your practice, it's not something you would naturally do every day. So it does need to be time that's set aside just to be with yourself, so that you can ask those questions and go deep inside into your body, find out where you're hurting or where you're storing tension or fear or anger, any of the primary emotions. Where are they based? And it might surprise you to find that they're in different parts of your body than you would assume.
So what can I learn from this? So let's say I can relate to both exercises. One is listening to myself on recordings and learning from this. Look at what is my voice like, what do I talk about? So seeing what others see. And that's certainly surprising many times, And the other is to scan, so to turn the camera inside and see what does my body feel like inside. And you're saying like do this at the cellular level.
Yes.
What do you mean by cellular level?
Really go deep into this practice if you can, and ask your body. Just ask the question, how are you today? How are you feeling today? What's going on with you today? Any of those questions that feel natural to you, and then see where it takes you. Because your attention will often be drawn to an area that needs your attention, needs your love, actually.
So I could scan my body, just literally bring my awareness to different parts of the body, say like, hello hands, how do you feel? What does my hand feel like now? What does my foot feel like now? What does my tummy feel like now? And kind of go through the body. Is there a specific sequence I should follow? Or?
Usually with mindful practice, you'll just start at the top of your head and work all the way down to your toes. But if you're lying down and you want to do that from your toes up to the top of your head, that's absolutely fine.
But kind of go in sequence, that's easier than just kind of following the feeling.
Yeah. Although you may, again, be drawn to an area that requires your attention urgently. So be prepared to be taken off into your liver, for example.
And that's fine.
That's fine, yeah.
And that's fine, okay.
That's fine.
Okay. And then when I feel something about my liver, let's say there's this tingling in my liver, or there's this something is going on. What are you going to do with it? Anything I need to do about it?
Yeah, absolutely. Be present with it. Be kind to it. Sit with it. Imagine you're sitting within your liver, if you can. Yeah, it's freaky. But it helps for you to be able to resonate with the organ or the area of your body that may be slightly out of balance. So you'll ask, what's wrong? What can I do? Imagine speaking to your child again. You want to help? Perhaps it's just being present with the feeling and allowing it to bubble to the surface and then be released. Often we feel emotions, I think, play a large part in our imbalances, because we are not processing emotions very quickly as we get older. Children process them immediately, adults not so much. and we hold them back, and they can cause havoc in the body if they're not released. So it can come across as a feeling, a vibration, or a soreness, or a tingling, sometimes a colour, sometimes a word. But it's being present with that and allowing it to be whatever it is, so that you can release it with love.
Beautiful, thank you. So that's certainly, as you speak about it, I can feel the impact of, giving myself loving attention. So that's immediately tangible. And in your work, you do this when you work with clients. That's something that's a practice that you would use, and you give different areas attention and they give different areas attention. So as you were talking, this is already, I can feel the impact of this. I can feel the impact of loving attention to myself and kind of self-care. And it relaxes me, I feel better, I feel immediately more complete and whole. I just wonder, when we look at, real disease and suffering, maybe specific complaints or even diagnoses, medical diagnoses, is there any literature? Is there anything out there that would tell us, that the healing time is shorter, or you need less pills, or you don't need to have that operation? Is there any way to quantify or scientifically validate such practice?
Yes, there's some work being done by Peggy Huddleston. She has produced a series of meditations that take you through surgery, about healing faster after surgery. And they use these techniques with Harvard's teaching hospital, and some studies have been done on the efficacy and the results, and patients need between 23 and 50% less pain medication.
Wow.
As a result of using these techniques prior to and after surgery.
Amazing. So to what degree, it sounds a little bit like the kind of research that is evolving quite rapidly in the medical hypnosis field.
Yes.
To what degree is what you're describing here medical hypnosis? Is that what it is? Or?
It could be described as medical hypnosis. I'm a trained clinical hypnotherapist, so yes, a lot of my work is about reframing the stories that we're telling ourselves. So yes, medical hypnosis, I guess it is. Interesting. So when we give loving attention to a certain area of our body, then what would do you have an idea of what is it that is at work here, actually? For me, it's an energy, but it's an intelligence. There's an intelligence there within our bodies that is operating, whether we know it or not. It's keeping us alive, it's keeping us detoxified, it's keeping us healthy. And it's about aligning with that intelligence to keep our bodies working. Amazing. So it will be really interesting to see in the years to come as medicine is moving into this direction, and it will have to. Sure. There will be more evidence accruing, and there will be ways to substantiate what so many people around the planet in the healthcare profession already know and experience every day, and so many patients benefit from every day. I hope so. Wow, this is amazing. Is there anything else you would like to tell us about the book? Any secrets you would like to reveal? Any peeks into any chapters that you allow? Yes, there are a few words that can create imbalance within your body. And I think it's important to know what they are so that you can choose differently. And I like to call them the smog words, because it's should, must, ought to, got to. When you're putting those words into your narrative, you're putting tremendous pressure on your body, because they are causing stress hormones to cascade. So you can make other choices. You can choose to do something rather than feeling that you have to do it. You can say I could rather than I must. These are all words that are much more kind and supportive and help you to achieve more, because you're not getting that cascade of stress hormones. You're operating in a very fluid way.
It's exchanging an Uber-ich to a positive creation, to a vision,
Yes,
to a positive outlook, to motivation.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. It feels liberating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's freeing.
This has been a Heart-Based Medicine production. Thanks for listening.